welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland, and something a little bit different for my channel today. If you're new here, which you very well might be because this is part of like a collaboration video, my name is Fiona and I live in the west of Scotland with my husband, 2 kids, well 2 teenagers, 5 dogs, a cat and a bearded dragon. Oh, and I've got my mum and dad in the cabin next door and I'm in a wheelchair. Hence the reason my challenge is called, my channel is called Our Crazy Life Scotland. It is crazy around here. And I apologise in advance if the dogs decide to play and bark while I'm making this, because they do, they're dogs. Anyway, let me tell you a bit about this video. Can you maybe dull it down just a wee bit? This video is going to be me answering 10 questions about myself, and it originated as a video between the Transatlantic Housewives of YouTube. Now, if you're wondering what that is, it's 4 lovely ladies who all work together at least once a week. They do what's called the Sunday, is it the Sunday Sunshine Show? Yes, the Sunday Sunshine Show, which is where they each talk about the same topic but giving their own spin on it, and I think it's a brilliant idea. I really enjoyed watching them, and their latest one was answering the 10 questions, and each of them threw a challenge out to one person to answer the same questions, and the lovely Karen, who is the Geordie grandma here on YouTube, reached out, set the challenge for me, and I was like, yay, that'll be so much fun. But I didn't realise how difficult the questions were going to be. Some of them are quite tricky. So I will link all of the channels below of the ladies who joined together to be the Transatlantic Housewives of YouTube. What a brilliant idea that is. It's so good. So I'm going to answer these 10 questions. And I will then throw the challenge out as well to one other person, because I got in touch with Karen. I said, does it end here, or do you want me to throw the challenge out to someone? She's like, yeah, why not, we'll keep it going. So stay tuned to the end to find out who I am going to set the challenge for. Right, let's get into it. I'm just going to go through each question one at a time and give you my answers. Question 1, which country would you most like to visit? That's an easy peasy one for me. Australia. Any day of the week it would be Australia. I would quite like to go back to America. There's a lot of places in America I would like to go to. Jack and I got married in Florida. I would love to take the girls back there. They weren't there because they weren't born at the time, but I would love to take them. But Australia is the one place, if somebody waved a magic wand and said, tell me right now where you would like to go, Australia. And I don't know why. I think it's because when I was young, my mum had a best friend who had a daughter round about my age, so we were really friendly. And I think I was only in primary school, or maybe just the very early high school years. They emigrated to Australia, and that got me interested. It piqued my interest. And then I used to watch programmes like Wanted Down Under, the programme where people would go over to Australia to see whether they would like to live there or not. And I've always wanted to go. We very nearly did. When Abby was young and Brooke was non-existent. We had set all the balls in motion, but then things happened and we didn't end up going. Which I don't regret, because life as we know it wouldn't be as we know it now if we had, but yeah, I would love to go to Australia, and Adelaide is where we were going to go, but I would love to go to the Gold Coast. One day it's going to happen, definitely. Right, question number 2. What was your first job? My first ever job was when I was at high school, and I worked in a local chip shop, and I loved it. Really enjoyed it, because I've always loved chip shop food, but I loved the social side of it. I worked there pretty much every day after school, and occasionally I worked weekends as well. And yeah, I would see a lot of my friends would come in to buy stuff, and we would have a good chat. And yeah, just a lot of the regular customers that I got to know, things like that. And the job itself was easy enough, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. My first proper job, if you like, was, should have been nursing, because I did a nursing degree. But when I was doing the degree, I thought, I don't know if I want to be a nurse. There was certain aspects of it that I loved, but I really wasn't keen on working on the wards. So I thought, right, before I work as a nurse, I ended up going to work as a medical rep. I did come across quite a few medical reps when I was a student and thought, that looks quite a cushy job. Let me tell you, it's not. Basically, I worked for a nutrition company, and I worked in the community side of things. So I didn't go into hospitals, but I went to GPs, pharmacies, district nurses, that sort of thing, and promoted our nutritional products. And there was 3 of us covering Scotland, so I covered kind of central and east, right down to sort of the border, not North Berwick, the other one, Berwick upon Tweed. And it was a lot of travelling, which I enjoyed. I loved driving then. Obviously, I wasn't in the wheelchair at the time. And I loved driving, and I loved talking to everybody. I loved it all, apart from the fact that you've got to drum up your own business. So it was quite difficult to get past doctors, receptionists, to actually get in to see anybody. That sort of thing. So, I worked in nursing homes as well. I enjoyed that side because they were always pretty happy to see you, especially if you had freebies for them. So that was what I did as my first proper job, and I did eventually go back to nursing, but that is a topic for a different day. Number 3, what was your favourite film from the 80s? Bless you. I think that is a hard question because there were so many great films out in the 80s, wasn't there? That was like the decade for movies. That was when movies were movies and not CGI and all the rest of it. And I was finding it really hard to choose between Dirty Dancing, which one of my all-time favourite films, and The Lost Boys. And I think The Lost Boys won. I'm quite sure you've all heard of it, but it's basically Corey Haim, who I loved, and what's his name? Kiefer Sutherland, amongst others, were in the film, and it was a family who moved to the mum's father's house, and they had no idea where they were, and it turns out to be the vampire capital of the world. So it's about vampires and how the Corey Haim and his friends try to stop them. Really brilliant film, cannot fault it at all. Such a good film. If you've not seen it, you need to go see it. I'll have a look and see if it's on any streaming sites, and if so, I'll let you know, because if you've not seen it, you need to. Brilliant film. Number 4, who would you like to play you in the movie of your life? This was one of the hard ones. I thought, I've got no idea. And a couple of the hard ones I'll put out to the kids to ask them. Brooke, who's 14, said, I don't know any actors. I went, fair enough. Abby said, I think Danny DeVito would be great as you. It's like, cheeky little, yes, okay then. She started going on about, is it Margot Robbie that's in Barbie and stuff? And I was like, all right. She went, yeah, because she's really gorgeous. She's a brilliant actress. She's in a lot of movies. And I went, you think she'd be great to play me? She went, no, she'd be great to play me. I thought, fair enough. But in the end, I think I have come up with someone who is not the most popular actress in the world. And it is Jennifer Grey, who actually played Baby in Dirty Dancing. She was also in Friends a couple of episodes as well. Now, I don't think she's done anything for years. I've never actually looked. But the reason that I would choose her is because when Dirty Dancing was out, my hair was the same as her. I've got a crooked nose the same as her. I was the same sort of height and body shape, and a lot of people told me that I looked like her. Clearly I didn't, but at the time I thought I did, and I thought I was a bee's knees because I was like Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. And I loved her character so much as well. I loved the fact that she was a down-to-earth girl that found her hidden talent and, went on to be defiant and do what she did. And I thought, yeah, that sounds a bit like me. The character that she played was more like me than the actual actress. But the fact that people said that I looked like her, obviously I had teeth. I was walking, I had curly hair the same, yeah. So I thought that's who I would like to play me, Jennifer Grey. If you don't know her, go look her up. I'm going to as well actually and see if she has done anything recently. Number 5, what is the scariest thing I have ever done? This was another tricky one. And you know, I could have come up with a lot of the run-of-the-mill things like having children, or moving to Dundee when I was just 17 to do my degree, you know, things like that. But I think actually the scariest thing I've ever done, first of all I was going to say starting YouTube, and then I thought no, because I wanted to do that. And then I would say probably after I got ill and ended up in the wheelchair, and if anybody doesn't know my story, if you're new here, I'll link the video that I talk about it in. When I was back to not normal, but normal as I now know it, I wanted to be able to drive again. But my legs don't work very well, I've got no feeling in my legs, so I thought it's never going to be possible. But then a few of the therapists and things that I was seeing pointed me in the direction of the place in Edinburgh who deals with teaching you how to drive with hand controls. And I was like, oh, I do like that idea. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to drive again, this is going to be great. So it took a while for the referrals and all the rest of it. And then I went through and I thought it's going to be fine, because, you know, I used to drive for a living. When I was a rep, I was driving hundreds of miles a week. But when I actually got in the car and started doing it, it was scary, because you're so used to using your legs, and all of a sudden with the hand controls, obviously it's an automatic car, you're holding onto the steering wheel with one hand, and the other hand you would pull the lever, and pulling the lever would push the accelerator. So pulling it would make you go faster, and pushing it would press the brake, so that was you stopping. And it sounds easy enough, but let me tell you, when you're in the car, you feel like the car's controlling you and not you controlling the car. It is scary. So we went round, it was like in a community hospital type thing. So we went round the grounds of that a few times, and I kind of got the hang of stopping and starting, and the indicator was a wee switch on the hand control as well. So I kind of got the hang of that. And then the guy said, you know, you're doing really well, I think we should actually go out on the roads now. And I went, oh, I don't know. He went, no, honestly, he said, you're doing fine. There's quiet streets around here, let's go and drive round them. I went, right, okay. So we went and drove round them, and he went, you're doing great, I'm going to take you a little bit further. And by that time I was like, all right, okay. So I was following his directions, and did I not end up on the Edinburgh bypass, which if anybody has driven there, oh my God, it's busy. There's lanes going everywhere, there's junctions, there's people, there's cars, and I was like, oh my God. And when I realised that I was going on there, I wanted to just stop and say, no, you drive, I can't do it. But I plucked up the courage and I did it. And I am glad that I did, because it really gave me the confidence to say, you know what, I can do it. And the guy said to me, you did brilliant. He said, okay, you were very nervous, but you did brilliant. So basically he passed me there and then and said, look, you need to have a few more lessons with a driving instructor who has got a car with hand controls. But then once he's happy to let you out on the road, I'm happy. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, and I did have many happy years driving my car. But last year, sadly, I gave it back because it was a Motability card, which you pay for out of your benefits. It's not free. And we just couldn't afford anymore to be running 2 cars and, you know, having 2 lots of fuel to pay and all the rest of it. And we were badly needing a new car, so I thought, right, if I give my car back, the money that I was paying to the car, I now pay Jack towards the car that we bought. So it's all good. But yeah, that was the scariest thing I've ever done, was learning to drive with my hands rather than my legs. Right, number 6. Oh, this was the hardest ever. Which historical figure would you most like to have dinner with? And the reason that it was so difficult is I'm not into history. I'm really not. And I'm like, do I even know any historical figures? And surprisingly enough, when I put this question out to the kids, both of them said, Hitler. It's like, should I be worried? But again, I think it's because, that's one of the main ones that you learn about at school when you're learning about the war and things like that. And I was like, no, I don't think I would really want to give his ego a boost by talking to him. So I did think about a few different ones. And you know what? I even thought about going back to great films of the 80s, Bill and Ted. And because in their movie, they go back to meet historical figures to talk about them in their school thing. But even then I was like, nah, Joan of Arc, nah. Oh, I really don't know. But then I decided that Charles Darwin would be a really good guy to talk to at dinner, because his views and his theories really changed biology, if you like, changed life as we know it, because until then everybody believed that it was God who made people and all the rest of it. And that's a concept that I do struggle with. I'm not really religious anyway, but I'm like, do I believe that all of us as society started out as one man and one woman, and how did they come to be in the first place? But Charles Darwin, for him to come up to, first of all, think to himself, you know what, I'm going to go against that because I don't think that's right. And then to come up with the ideas that he did, about evolution and evolving from apes and things, I would love to sit down with him and say, what made you think of that in the first place? Was it like a eureka moment, talking about other historical figures, or was it something that you'd been thinking about for a while? I would love to know. So yeah, Charles Darwin, I think, would be very interesting to sit down and chat with over dinner. Number 7, how did I meet my partner? I answered this quite recently on my channel, so I won't go into too much detail. But Jack and I met in a pub in Falkirk 23 years ago now. And he was drunk, he was dancing, we went in, we were sober, it was later on in the night. I was still dressed in my work clothes, and my auntie started flirting with Jack and dancing with him, and I was like, I need to save him. Because my auntie was a bit of a man-eater back then. I'm like, I need to save him. So I moved her out the way and I started talking to him. And we had a really good night, just chatting and dancing. And he walked me to my car. I wasn't even drinking. In fact, it was a taxi. He walked me to my taxi. I did have a few drinks, but not much. And we swapped numbers and things. And after that, the next day, I was texting him quite a lot because I couldn't stop thinking about him. And we were texting back and forward, and that was in the days of the old mobile phones where you didn't have like WhatsApp and all your Instagrams and Snapchats and all the rest of it. So it was just good old-fashioned texting, and eventually we agreed to meet. And I later found out that he didn't actually remember me. When I was texting him, he was texting back not having a clue who I was because he was that drunk. But it all worked out well in the end, and we had been married for over 20 years now. It'll be 21 years in September. So that is the story of how we met. Number 8, what is your most embarrassing moment? Again, I have mentioned this on my channel before, and I did try to come up with another one, but no, definitely the most embarrassing moment that I can think of is one day when I was leaving in a hurry to go to work, and I pulled my door shut. I had went out, it was cold, I went out and started the car up to clear the windows. I went back in to get all my bits and pieces. I came out and closed my door, then realised my skirt was stuck in the front door. My keys were in the car. I had no way of opening the front door, so I'm trying to push the door and pull my skirt at the same time, but I wasn't getting enough give in the door to be able to do that. And I'm like, what do I do? It was early in the morning. A lot of the people around me then were quite elderly. I thought, I can't shout for help. What am I going to do? So in the end, I ended up having to undo my skirt, step out of my skirt, run to the car, get my keys, run back, put my skirt on and open the door to get my skirt untrapped from the door. Thankfully it wasn't dirty, so I was still able to wear it because I was running late. But yeah, I was mortified, and I thought that I'd got away with it. I thought that nobody had seen me, and then one of the neighbours did say to me a week or so later, why were you running about bottomless? I was like, oh dear. And I told them the story. Thankfully I was wearing underwear and tights, but it was the sheer tights. It was like, you know, your normal nude tights. It wasn't like thick opaque tights. Yeah. Very embarrassing, and I don't think I will ever forget that one. Number 9, what is your pet peeve? Oh my God. Oh, there's so many. This was an easy one. Well, it was hard because there's so many to choose from. I would say my biggest pet peeve is somebody who's noisy when they eat. It drives me nuts. I'm talking, even if they're not deliberately doing it, I can hear, I'm quite deaf when people are talking to me, but I can hear somebody crunching or chomping or chewing from a mile away, and it drives me absolutely crazy. Even, like I said, even if they're just eating normally crisps, I can hear it and they're crunching and I'm like, stop it. Even like Jack will say, I'm gonna no crunch until I put something on the telly because I can hear it. But the worst thing is when someone is, not deliberately, but when someone's a very noisy eater and chomp and eat with their mouth open and, you know, talk while they're eating. That, oh, it's not even a peeve. It makes me want to be sick. It's like, oh my God, don't do that. And even the kids, I'm like, go and stop eating till I move away. And now Abby's as bad as me. She can't stand anybody eating either, so that's my fault. But yeah, oh, there's just no need. There is no need to be eating with, I mean, I've got no teeth. I'm an ugly eater because I've got no teeth. But I don't chomp things. I don't slap it to death. You know, you just eat. And my final question, apart from your family, what are you most proud of? Or what is your proudest moment? Well, obviously you would say family and all the rest of it. But I think my proudest moment, and it's maybe a bit boring, is when I graduated university with my degree. And the reason I was so proud was, first of all, I was the first person in my family to go and do a degree. So my mum and dad were really proud of me. And second of all, I really didn't enjoy the course. So like from the middle of the very first year, I thought, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a nurse. Because then it was all nursing home placements and boring ward placements, and I really didn't like it. And I did toy with the idea of saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore and quitting, or changing to a different course. But the more I thought about it and spoke to mum and dad were like, look, if you're not happy, don't do it. But I was like, no, I'm going to do it, because I thought, at the end of the day, a degree is a degree. So even if I don't want to do nursing, at least I've got a degree and I can put it to use in other ways, which I did with the medical repping. But the fact that I really didn't like it, and I found that out in my first year, but actually stayed on for 4 whole years. I did my honours degree. I could have left after 3rd year, but I stayed on for the honours to the end of 4th year. And I graduated with a 2-2 BSc honours degree. And I was very proud, and I was proud of the fact that my mum and dad were proud. Sounds crazy, but yeah, that was my proudest moment. And I still remember my ceremony, you know, having the gown on and the cap, and it was in the Caird Hall in Dundee, and you know, going up on stage and getting my scroll, my certificate. Yeah, it was just really good, and having a nice dinner with my mum and dad and stuff. Yeah, that was my proudest moment. So there you go, that is my 10 answers. Now you know why I found it quite difficult, because it's not the run-of-the-mill 10 questions, is it? And I think the ladies, the Housewives, all came up with the questions together. They didn't take it from another video. So I thought that was really good. And I have really enjoyed thinking about this and making it, Karen. So thank you so much for reaching out to me. Like I said, I will put all of their channels and links to their answers to the questions in the description below. But before I do that, I want to send this challenge on to someone else, and that someone is going to be my lovely YouTube friend Christine, who, oh Christine, I can't remember your channel name now, you've changed it that many times. Is she Christine M Home Life, or, oh, I can't remember, Christine. I'll put it on the screen and I will link it below for you. But Christine is another Scottish YouTuber, and she's like me, just down to earth. And yeah, I'm sure she would like to answer these questions. It would be interesting to get her answer. So please, Christine, if you can film this, film that video and hopefully put it up within the next week, that would be brilliant. And I will let everybody know once your video goes up. And of course, I'll link your channel down below as well, Christine. So thank you in advance for doing that. Now you have to do it. So yeah, thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got any questions as a result of my answers to the questions, put them in the comments below. Talk to me. If you're new here, like I said, welcome. I hope you stick around. I also do, I mostly do like family vlogs, dog vlogs, hauls. Temu is my addiction. I do craft videos, all sorts of things. So yeah, if you are new, please do subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button to let everybody know that you like this. And I will see you in our next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.